Do you want to know why so many people over 60 suddenly start waking up in the middle of the night around 3 a.m., no matter how tired they are? It's not just getting older, it's your body sending secret messages about your health, and the signals are more important than you think. If you've been experiencing this, you might be closer to discovering the real keys to living longer, feeling stronger, and aging healthier than most people. Today, I'm going to share the story of two lifelong friends, Arthur and Sam, who are both in their late 60s. One of them is still hiking mountains and playing with his grandkids at 72, while the other struggles with fatigue, brain fog, and nagging health problems. The difference? It all started with how they handled a surprising change in their sleep. But before I reveal why they're so different, here's the suspense. If you agree with sign number 3 later in this story, I want you to write the number 3 in the comments. And if one of these signs feels like it was made for you, put that number in the comments too. That's how we'll see how many people share the same experience. The night Arthur first noticed the change. Arthur had never been a light sleeper. Back in his 40s, he could fall asleep anywhere, on the couch, in the car, as a passenger, even in a noisy airport. But at 68, something strange began to happen. Around 3 a.m., almost like an alarm clock, his eyes would open. No matter what time he went to bed, 9 p.m. or midnight, he'd find himself staring at the ceiling in the dark, wide awake. At first, he shrugged it off. It's just part of aging, he told himself. But over time, he noticed something else. Waking up at 3 a.m. wasn't random. His mind was racing. His heart sometimes beat faster. Some mornings he'd get back to sleep, others he wouldn't. And on those sleepless mornings, the next day always felt heavier, slower. Sam, his friend since high school, had the same issue. But unlike Arthur, Sam ignored it completely until it began to affect his mood, his memory, and his blood pressure. The hidden link between 3 a.m. wake-ups and longevity. Here's where the research comes in. Studies on older adults show that waking up in the middle of the night can be linked to several factors. Natural changes in circadian rhythm. As we age, our internal body clock shifts, often leading to earlier bedtimes and earlier wake times. Lower melatonin production. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, declines naturally after 50. Blood sugar fluctuations. A drop in blood sugar during the night can signal your body to wake up. Emotional stress or anxiety. Often unspoken, but mental stress becomes more pronounced in the quiet of the early morning. Underlying health issues, sleep apnea, heart rhythm changes, or even thyroid imbalances can cause sudden nighttime wakefulness. For Arthur, the real culprit was a mix of two things: late-night snacking that spiked and crashed his blood sugar, and a habit of replaying the day's worries right before bed. He didn't just change his bedtime routine, he used it as a signal to overhaul his whole approach to aging. Sign 1. You wake up refreshed without an alarm. Arthur began tracking how he felt the mornings after his 3 a.m. wake-ups. He noticed that on days when he'd eaten a balanced dinner, skipped alcohol, and taken a 10-minute walk after eating, he would still wake up early but felt refreshed. This is actually a hidden sign of longevity. Your body's natural recovery systems are still working efficiently. People who wake up naturally and feel rested tend to have better cardiovascular health and stronger immune systems. Practical tip: try keeping your last meal at least 3 hours before bed with protein, healthy fats, and fiber to stabilize your blood sugar. Sign 2. You can fall back asleep without much effort. Sam, on the other hand, would toss and turn for hours. His mind jumped from bills to politics to regrets from 20 years ago. People who can't fall back asleep easily often have higher levels of nighttime cortisol, the stress hormone, which can wear down the immune system over time. Arthur developed a technique. When he woke at 3 a.m., instead of fighting it, he focused on slow, deep breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Within minutes, his mind calmed and he drifted back to sleep. Practical tip: If you can't fall asleep after 20 minutes, get out of bed, go to a dimly lit room, and read something common. Avoid bright lights and screens. Sign 3. You use early wake-ups to build mental strength. This is the sign I want you to comment on if it's true for you. Arthur started using some of his early mornings for quiet reflection. He'd sip herbal tea, write in a gratitude journal, and sometimes stretch. Research shows that people who maintain a sense of purpose in their later years have lower rates of cognitive decline and depression. Sam didn't do this. Instead, he scrolled on his phone in bed. That constant blue light stimulation not only made it harder for him to fall back asleep, but also disrupted his melatonin production even more. Practical tip: use early mornings for something nourishing, stretching, reading, or even writing letters to loved ones. Sign 4. You stay physically active during the day. Arthur knew that movement was medicine. Every morning, he'd walk for 30 minutes, rain or shine. On days he was especially tired, he'd still move, just slower. Light physical activity during the day helps regulate your body clock, improves deep sleep, and supports brain health. Sam's activity was inconsistent. Some weeks he was active, other weeks he barely moved. Over the years, those differences added up. Practical tip: aim for at least 150 minutes of light to moderate activity per week, walking, swimming, or gentle cycling. Sign 5. You manage evening stress before bed. One of the most overlooked causes of middle-of-the-night wakefulness is unresolved stress. Arthur began practicing a mental shutdown ritual 2 hours before bed. No news, no heavy discussions, just light reading or calm conversation. People who protect their evenings from emotional overload tend to sleep more deeply and wake less often. Practical tip: write down your worries before bed. Literally putting them on paper signals your brain that it doesn't need to process them while you sleep. Sign 6. You maintain strong social connections. Arthur had a small but close group of friends. They met for coffee twice a week, laughed often, and shared life's ups and downs. Social connection is a surprisingly strong predictor of longevity, sometimes even stronger than diet or exercise. Sam was more isolated. Over time, loneliness crept in, and research shows that social isolation increases the risk of poor sleep, heart disease, and even early mortality. Practical tip: schedule regular calls or visits with friends and family, even if it's just a short check-in. Sign 7. You pay attention to nutritional signals. Arthur learned that his 3 a.m. wake-ups were also tied to what he ate. Too much sugar, alcohol, or caffeine, even in the afternoon, would make him restless at night. Once he switched to whole foods, balanced meals, and hydration, his wake-ups became less frequent and less disruptive. Practical tip: after 50, focus on nutrient density. Leafy greens, berries, fatty fish, nuts, and seeds. They not only help with sleep, but also reduce inflammation, the hidden driver of many age-related diseases. How Arthur and Sam's paths diverged? After a year of small changes, Arthur felt younger at 70 than he had at 65. He still woke up early sometimes, but he used it to his advantage, stretching, planning his day, or enjoying the quiet. His blood pressure improved, his weight stabilized, and his memory stayed sharp. Sam's health, meanwhile, became more complicated. Poor sleep compounded his stress, he became less active, his blood sugar climbed, and his doctor warned him about prediabetes. The difference wasn't luck, it was daily choices, especially around sleep and recovery. What this means for you: if you're over 50 and keep waking up at 3 a.m., it's not automatically a problem. It's a signal. Your body is giving you a chance to look at your habits, stress, nutrition, and overall health. The key is not to fight the wake-up itself, but to understand it. Are you eating too late? Is your stress unresolved? Are you moving enough during the day? And, perhaps most importantly, are you giving your mind a reason to look forward to the morning? The challenge: I want you to think about the 7 signs we talked about. 1. You wake up refreshed without an alarm. 2. You can fall back asleep without much effort. 3. You use early wake-ups to build mental strength. 4. You stay physically active during the day. 5. You manage evening stress before bed. 6. You maintain strong social connections. 7. You pay attention to nutritional signals. Pick the one that's most true for you right now and write that number in the comments. And if number 3 spoke to you the most, type 3 in the comments too. That's how we'll see how many people share the same experience. Final thought. Aging doesn't have to mean slowing down. It can mean becoming more intentional. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't the end of restful